Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the White Collar Players Immersive Mod Series. Today's episode contains miscellaneous items like retextures and new animations, along with some other additions to the Commonwealth. We are very happy you could join us today, so let's not keep you waiting. In the previous episode, which you can check out here, we showcased a mod called Better Power Armor, which also used another mod called Better Locational Damage and Optional Gameplay Overhauls that we did not cover in the episode. Please allow us to rectify that now. Better Locational Damage and Optional Gameplay Overhauls by Zzyxzz brings a mixture of gameplay elements to make combat more meaningful for both you and NPCs. When activated through NMM, BLD opens up a faux mod dialog box that contains many options for installing various compatibility add-ons and patches. We chose to use the ghoul version, which causes ghouls to behave more like actual zombies, and that the best method for killing them is with blows to the head, and shots to their torso now are not very damaging. We also chose to install Stab and Break, which gives animations for stealth killing an enemy with a melee weapon when you sneak up behind them, either stabbing or breaking their neck. We also chose Better Chems and Better Perks. These additions make chems last slightly longer, about 30 minutes in-game, and changes some perks to complement the damage modifications of BLD. We have also added Better Cooking, which makes some small but nice changes to cooking, such as now only one dirty water is needed to make one purified water. If you don't want these additional options, the main purpose of BLD causes damage to be taken by both the player and NPCs in a more realistic fashion. Headshots are now very lethal and certainly the best way to take down enemies in power armor if you don't have explosives. Taking a bullet wound to your left arm is likely to cause it to be crippled. The same applies to the other limbs as well. And shooting the legs of a Deathclaw will help to slow it down and make it slightly easier to flee from. This mod is fantastic for adding immersion to combat, and we highly recommend it if vanilla fights feel too static and monotonous. As I was walking past the Drumlin Diner the other day, a small glint of light caught the corner of my eye. I turned and noticed Trudy holding something up to her face until she lowered it and waved me over. As I walked up to the corner, she placed an old set of Prewar Binoculars in my hand, explaining that she got them off of a passing junk merchant. Prewar Binoculars by a blind man adds the much-needed device from New Vegas to the Commonwealth. When installing the mod, a faux mod dialog box offers the option for AKcelsior compatibility and an alternate view through the scopes. Since we do not yet have AKcelsior, we passed on that option and stuck with the standard scope aperture because the alternate version may conflict with see-through combat scopes, which we covered previously. The binoculars can either be found as a semi-rare loot or bought off merchants. However, if you are using AKcelsior, then the binoculars are craftable. At the weapons workbench, you can change the base zoom and toggleable zoom, along with adding night vision or a recon module. There is also an option to change the body type from old metal body to a lightweight body. However, this change does not affect the look of the binoculars, but it does reduce the weight by 0.3 pounds. Adding the recon module works exactly like normal recon scopes. Simply aiming at an enemy through the binoculars will tag them. The zoom on the binoculars works by having a base zoom level, either 4, 6, 8, or 10 times zoom, and another zoom level to toggle back and forth to, again either 4, 6, 8, or 10 times zoom. For example, you could have a base of 6 times zoom and toggle back and forth to 10 times. To toggle between zooms, you fire the binoculars, and the short animations, which are only in first person, let you know that you've adjusted the zoom level, and firing again switches back. However, if you decide to use the night vision attachment, you can only have the base zoom level, and firing the binoculars toggles night vision on and off. Although with the vanilla light levels, night vision on the binoculars is not that useful, but it would certainly be more helpful if you have a Darker Nights mod installed. This mod brings more immersion to the stealth system, as these binoculars allow for a tactical approach to enemy encampments. These binoculars are a must-have for any game type, and they should have been provided by Bethesda in the first place. Definitely great work by this mod author. The default Pip-Boy texture is quite lacking in terms of detail and damage that would come with a long decay time of 200 years, and certainly after traversing the wasteland. The lack of such details is painfully obvious when using the Pip-Boy interface, and the low-res textures are shoved right in front of your eyes. The Seen Better Days Pip-Boy Retexture by Blackblossom achieves the feeling of an old salvaged Pip-Boy that has a dark history, much like the one the Sole Survivor uses. This mod combines beautiful high-resolution textures and maps with scuffed paint, a cracked screen, and scratches all over the device's exterior. Also available with this mod is an optional file to retexture holotapes and games to give them a more realistic and higher quality look. While you may rarely look closely at these objects in the world, this retexture also carries over to whenever they are inserted into your Pip-Boy, and they perfectly complement their Pip-Boy retexture. A beautiful piece of work, this mod fits perfectly into any playthrough, and we don't plan to ever play the game without it. The default light emitted by your Pip-Boy is helpful for lighting up dark areas, but it does so in a terribly unimmersive fashion. The light coats everything in the vicinity with a uniform brightness and removes all shadows in its path. a realistic Pip-Boy light would cast shadows and aim a beam of light in a very specific direction. Fortunately, the mod PipBoy Flashlight by AKcelsior accomplishes exactly that. When activating through Nexus Mod Manager, a window pops up with numerous options for customizing both your Pip-Boy light and the power armor lamp. We chose to use the Pip-Boy emitter option, which means that in third person, the light will appear to emit from the Pip-Boy as opposed to from your head or shoulder. We also selected the single-click sound option to reflect the idea of a switch on the Pip-Boy for toggling the light on and off. Here's a demonstration. We chose the alternate animations for third person so that when aiming with a weapon, the flashlight beam will coincide with the direction that the gun is facing, as opposed to being slightly skewed. We also decided to use the first person offset light, so that the beam feels as if it is actually coming off of a source on the side of our arm rather than being directly centered in our vision. When choosing a style for the light source, you are presented with over 115 different variations, certainly making it a tough decision. But, to complement our PipBoy Retexture, we decided to use the Floodlight Warn option, which places shadows for scratches and dirt on the light to reflect the slightly damaged condition of our Pip-Boy. The same options are also presented for the power armor lamp. This time, we chose Nomad Prime to give off the sense of a high-intensity spotlight that would be appropriate for nighttime operations conducted in power armor. The installer even includes options for how far you want the light beam to reach. We chose the 200% option because we feel it matches the advancement in lighting coming from a device like a Pip-Boy and a vehicle like power armor. In order to customize the color of the beam cast by the Pip-Boy light while keeping the display of the Pip-Boy white, we needed to add some lines in our Fallout 4 Custom.ini file. Unless you moved it, this can be found under the file path shown in the description. We have also provided the lines you should add in the description as well. The mod page on the Nexus discusses these steps in the FAQ section towards the bottom of the description page, which you should always read for any mod you plan to install. This mod is perfect for creating an immersive atmosphere during the harsh nights in the Commonwealth, and we strongly recommend it for anybody looking to add more immersion to their game. NPCs Travel by skyquest has a similar function to the Immersive Patrols mod for Skyrim. It adds a whole bunch of new NPCs to the Commonwealth, which you will certainly encounter as you travel from place to place. Although, certain NPC types will only appear after specific checkpoints in the game are reached. For example, Brotherhood patrols will start only after the Brotherhood airship arrives, and Minutemen patrols only after a certain number of settlements are in their control. This mechanic adds a new level of immersion, and certainly creates the feeling that events in the story actually have an impact on the environment. With this mod installed, you can expect to encounter adventurers, hunters, scavengers, mercenaries, super units, Siths, Minutemen, BOS, gunners, raiders, and several other groups that patrol routes between 250 destinations randomly selected across the Commonwealth, so your encounters are guaranteed to vary greatly as you explore. As soon as you load the game with the mod installed, a holotape is added to your inventory that lets you change settings like how many of each type of NPC are added, whether or not you can barter and receive medical treatment from them, and their relationship towards you. We experimented with some of the settings, but found that leaving everything at the default values proved to be the best option. We highly recommend this mod if you plan on doing a lot of foot traveling across the Commonwealth, because it makes the journey between destinations much more varied and interesting, not to mention the lore-friendly way in which it incorporates new characters. Great work by this author, and we look forward to the new people we will meet on the road. After the long trek from brokering a deal in Vault 88 back to my room in the Hotel Rexford, I want nothing more than to relax in the third rail while enjoying an ice-cold beer from Charlie. Thanks to Flipdeezy, I can now enjoy new animations for drinking with his mod, Have a Beer. The main purpose of it is to provide third-person animations for drinking all vanilla beverages, but Flipdeezy also included a few new beverages and ingredients for crafting them, which are milk, coffee, and cappuccinos. The animations are provided for both sitting and standing, so you can enjoy a beverage anywhere in the Commonwealth. To tweak your use of the animations, a holotape can be crafted at the chemistry station, which provides settings for things like turning the animations on or off, changing the camera angle, and turning the sound effects on or off. But we believe the mod works perfect as it comes, so we left them untouched. This mod adds more immersion to relaxing in the Commonwealth, but if we may give one suggestion to the mod author, it would be to add animations for becoming intoxicated based on how many alcoholic beverages the player drinks. Nonetheless, we are certainly looking forward to enjoying a cold one in our playthrough, thanks to Flipdeezy. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our collection for today. We sincerely hope you found some mods to add to your load order, and as always, please remember to endorse any mod you download and enjoy. Thank you all very much for joining us, and we hope to see you again for our next episode.